So, in Generation 1 through 3 of Pokemon, that's Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, and Leaf Green, a move was deemed special if it was from the Water, Grass, Fire, Ice, Electric, Psychic, Dragon, or Dark typing, and would use the special attack and special defense stat to calculate damage. If a move was from the Normal, Fighting, Flying, Poison, Ground, Rock, Bug, Ghost, or Steel typing, it was a physical move and used the attack and defense stat. So our new friend Silky would be better off using physical attacks due to its adamant nature as well as being a bug flying type. It would benefit the most from using attacks of the same type, getting what is called a stab, or same type attack bonus. Unfortunately, this leads us to the first problem in the earlier games. Each Pokemon has what are called base stats. Butterfree's lowest base stat is attack at a low 45. Meanwhile, its special attack is doubled at 90. This is part of what led trainers to believe that bug-type Pokemon were bad in the earlier generations. Game Freak gave them stats that went against their typing and move pool. You will see this evolve and get better as the games go on. For now, let's get back to the action. So, 10,000 light years equates to 5.8786254 by 10 to the 16th miles. I understand this kid was trying to tell us that we were a long way away from fighting Brock, but this is just wild and insulting. Let's talk about abilities. Some abilities in the game are very easy to see the usefulness of, such as Intimidate or Poison Point. Others, however, are not so obvious. Take Butterfree and Compound Eyes. Compound Eyes increases the accuracy of moves by 1.3. So say we take a move like, I don't know, Sleep Powder that only has a 75% chance to work and use it on a Butterfree with Compound Eyes. That 75% goes all the way up to a 97.5 chance to hit. So by having 2 Butterfree, we can double our move pool and increase the amount of lower accuracy moves we can field. That is the key to this challenge, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. Something many younger or newer trainers don't think about is non-damaging moves and switching Pokemon. I have my game set to set, so I don't have the opportunity to switch out my Pokemon after knocking out an opponent. This is typically done on challenges to help increase the difficulty. Due to this, you will often find yourself on the wrong side of a type matchup. You could just switch out, but then your new Pokemon entering the battle could take a costly hit, or your opponent could be using Pursuit, a move that hits a switching Pokemon harder. If you use a status move, such as Sleep Powder, or find a way to freeze your opponent, you can have a clean switch. On the topic of status-inducing moves, there are many moves that don't do damage, but could be used to make your Pokemon stronger. In challenge modes, you need to learn how to use non-damage moves to your advantage. In the fight with the Magnemite and Voltorb, you see a few different non-damaging moves. First, we put both Pokemon to sleep. This allows us to knock out the Magnemite cleanly, as well as switch to Spike. Spike uses a move called Focus Energy, which increases his critical hit chance. Critical hits can change the way a battle goes by doing 2 times the normal damage. Double damage is crazy useful and can turn the tide of battle in a heartbeat. Don't be scared to try status moves and non-damaging moves out, especially in the new Scarlet and Violet games. In the newest releases, you can change to any move your Pokemon has learned, so test the waters and see what combos work for you. Secret Power is a very interesting move introduced in Gen 3. It was used in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald to make secret bases outside of battle. In battle, it is a 70 power normal move that has an interesting side effect. Secret Power will inflict damage and has a 30% chance of triggering a second effect based on the environment you're in. So if you're in a building or plane terrain, you might inflict paralysis. If you're in sand, you will lower accuracy. Caves cause flinching, rocky terrain causes confusion, tall grass inflicts poison, while long grass causes sleep. Makes me think of the Wizard of Oz and the Poppies. As far as water goes, if you are in a pond, you will lower speed, Seawater will lower attack, and underwater will lower defense. The animations will also change depending on the terrain, so you will know what kind of effect might occur. This is a solid physical move at the exact moment we needed it. So, a big reason to use bug Pokemon in the early game is the early final stage evolution. I mentioned this during the training montage in the first episode. Bugs grow quick and reach their final form usually before the first gym. This is great in early game, as you often won't be fighting other fully evolved Pokemon. When a Pokemon evolves, it not only changes appearance, but also grows way stronger. Most of the time. As other Pokemon begin to evolve, you start to see early game bugs drop off. Misty has a 2-stage final evolution Pokemon, Starmie. Starmie is just stronger than anything we have. The gap isn't as large at this point in the game, but large enough to cause concern. All we can try to do is outsmart our opponent, as we are once again at a strength disadvantage. Okay, so you may be wondering what HM is. HMs are hidden moves that were used in generations 1 through 6 to control the flow of exploration. In Gen 7, it was replaced by Ride Pokemon. They were replaced by Bike upgrades in Gen 8, and by Koraidon and Miraidon in Gen 9. HMs have been around since the beginning of the series, often causing frustration for newer players. HMs are special in the sense that they can't be removed from your move pool without a special NPC named the Move Deleter. This means that you will often be down a move that may be better. In this gen, you have HMs for Cut, Fly, Surf, Strength, Flash, Rock Smash, and Waterfall. Flash is used to lower accuracy, while the rest of the HMs are attacks with varied powers. As they are needed, we will explain more. For now, let's just focus on Cut. Cut is used to cut small trees that may block your path. This move is needed to enter the Vermilion Gym, as well as to find hidden areas and places you may have already been to. This HM is one of the most needed moves, being used throughout most of the game. As far as in battle, Cut is a very basic attack. It has a base power of 50 with a 95% accuracy. At this point in the game, it isn't the worst move you could use, but it's not great either. We also have access to Flash at this point, but we haven't grabbed the HM just yet. We'll talk about Flash more after we get it, but this is one of my least favorite moves in the entire game. I'll explain why when we get there. Okay, let's just address Flash and its place in Pokemon history. Flash is a move that was used in early Pokemon games, notably being a HM in generations 1 through 3. It is a 70 accuracy move that will lower the target's accuracy by 1 stage. In Fire Red, it is used to light up one cave in the main story. Honestly, it's useless. We are going to give it to Silky and take advantage of Compound Eyes, raising the accuracy to a 91%. Not a great move, but it's the best we can do. You will see this move be used out of combat soon, but for now, let's get back to the action. Okay, so what do I mean by raise stats? In Pokemon, there are 6 stats: HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed, that determine how powerful you are. I'm gonna try and keep this as simple as possible, but I can dig into this deeper if it's something you all want to learn more about. When you knock out an opponent's Pokemon, or a wild Pokemon, they give your Pokemon an effort value, or EV. Every 4 EVs gained in one stat will increase your stat by 1. You can't exceed 255 EVs, and you can have a total of 510 across all your stats. Okay, that's a lot of words that mean nothing to you. Let's try it this way. Let's say you have a Beedrill and you want to maximize its speed and attack. To do this, you need to gain 255 attack EVs and 255 speed EVs. However, this won't do you any good. You'll hit your cap at 252, since that's the last time it is divisible by 4. Maxing out your stats will let you gain an extra 63 points into 2 stats. How do you plan your EVs? Well, you have to know which Pokemon give off what EVs. They don't change, so Nidoran Male always gives +1 attack EV, while Blissey will always give off a +3 HP EV. I promise this is so easy once you get used to it. In the newest games at the time of this recording, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, EV training is even easier. You have access to power items, which add 8 extra EVs to a selected stat. This makes the training only take 28 battles to go from 0 to max on the selected EV. If you're using power items in Gen 4 to 6, this increase is only +4. From Gen 7 on, it becomes +8. I'm not going to get into the specifics of Pokerus and other oddball trainings, but I will touch on the stat boosting items that led to this discussion. These items are HP up, protein, iron, calcium, zinc, and carbos. These items will allow you to add +10 to a stat. Prior to Gen 8, you were capped at 100 EVs from these items. Starting in Sword and Shield, these items could be used to max your stats. Again, this is a short breakdown of EVs, hopefully enough to get you started. I could do an entire video on just EV training, but for now, let's get back to the game. A few episodes back, I mentioned something called base stats. In Pokemon, there are stats called base stats, which are essentially the potential of a Pokemon. These stats are how we determine a species' strengths and weaknesses. So let's talk about Butterfree. Butterfree is one of the original 151 Pokemon. It was introduced relatively early in the first games, usually about the 3rd or 4th Pokemon encounter in the wild, depending on how much you explored. We know Butterfree's base stats are HP 60, Attack 45, Defense 50, Special Attack 80, Special Defense 80, and Speed 70. This means that for the most part, Butterfree is a fairly weak Pokemon with a super low attack. This is disappointing in this generation, since it is a physical type. In general, Butterfree is a Pokemon that falls off and isn't used as much by this point in the game. However, this isn't the end of the story for Butterfree in Generation 3. With the addition of Compound Eyes, which we talked about earlier, and some great status-inducing moves, Butterfree can become a support type. This is how we have been using Silky and Tank so far. They put their opponent to sleep or lower their accuracy and start chipping away. This is why I wanted to make this series. Base stats aren't all you need to consider when selecting a team. Having status-inducing moves can be tough since they are often lower accuracy, but Butterfree works around this issue. Don't be scared to try out new Pokemon. You never know if you'll find your new favorite. So we've talked about Compound Eyes a ton, as well as some other abilities. Let's talk about Shield Dust. Shield Dust is simple. It negates additional effects. Okay, so that doesn't really tell us much. What it really means is that damaging moves used by the opponent won't have an additional effect. For example, a Pokemon with Shield Dust can't be flinched by Fake Out or frozen by Blizzard. It almost completely blocks the frozen or flinch condition, since those are only caused by damaging moves. The only way to overcome this is by Mold Breaker. It isn't the most useful, but it's far from useless. So there's an item I haven't really shown off yet. This item is called the Verse Seeker, and it lets you rebattle trainers. We got this way back in Vermilion. There's also an area I haven't gone to yet called Cycling Road. We had to beat the other Snorlax to get there, but on the other side is a series of 6 trainers which we hold type advantages over most of. I have been trying not to use this area, but now it's time to show you all how to grind some levels. In most Japanese role-playing games, or JRPGs, there's a moment where the level of your enemies jump massively and you have to do what is called grinding. When you grind, you essentially are battling enemies you can beat repeatedly. It can be monotonous, but it's just part of the game. In games like Pokemon, you can sometimes overcome the level curve through exploration or type advantages, but we don't really have that luxury with bug types. We'll do this for a bit, getting ourselves caught up and ready to take on the next leg of this game. Let's have a brief chat about Toxic. Poison is a stats condition we have been using a lot in this run through, and will probably continue to use going forward in the next games. Typically, Poison does 1/16 of a Pokemon's max potential HP. That's pretty solid, as it will keep working unless cured. Toxic adds a new wrinkle though. On the first turn that Toxic is used, the Pokemon will take the standard 1/16 damage. However, every turn that passes, the opponent will take more and more damage. This is a great move when you are stalling against an opponent. The longer they are poisoned, the more damage they take. Don't sleep on status moves like this. They only improve as time goes on. I wasn't going to bore you with the math on this one because it's really not super complicated. So you can write Toxic as N times 1/16 of the Pokemon's HP. N is represented by the turn. So the second turn is 2, third turn is 3. It's really not too bad. I guess it's not really double, but it increases as time goes on. Every turn that goes by, that's your new multiplier on top of what you were already doing. So it really does snowball out of control on these battles that get to 10, 11, 12 turns. These Pokemon are not going to survive that long because the poison damage becomes too great. Okay, so this has been a long time coming. Return is a move that was introduced in Generation 2 along with Frustration. They act as opposites, one becoming strong when a Pokemon is newer and hasn't gained friendship towards you, the other becoming stronger as the Pokemon bonds and befriends you. Friendship was introduced in Generation 2 and was used to help evolve certain Pokemon, with Return and Frustration being a side effect of the new stat. You never get to see the number value of Friendship, but there are NPCs that can help you figure it out. Just like the other stats, Friendship can vary between 0 and 255, with 255 being the max. Starting in Generation 3, each Pokemon has a base Friendship stat, just like other base stats. For example, Weedle has a 70, whereas Chansey has 140 and Mewtwo has a 0. Friendship changes over the generations, and I will cover those more in depth as we go. For Generation 3, you need to know that you can catch a Pokemon in a Friend Ball and make its friendship rise to 200. Also, a hatched Pokemon starts with a friendship of 120. In Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, your rival sister can help you determine your Pokemon's friendship level, while in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, there are 2 places, Verdanturf Town and Pacific Town. In Generation 3, the ways to increase friendship are on the graph below. I would like to point out some common misconceptions on what affects friendship that even I believed, really up until the time I was researching this script. They are depositing a Pokemon in the Pokemon storage system, except it does lose friendship in Pokemon Yellow and the friendship resets in the stadium games, but that doesn't affect us. Letting a Pokemon's HP fall to a critical status, aka when it turns red and starts beeping. Letting a Pokemon get a status condition, or walking with a Pokemon with a status condition. Healing a Pokemon with low HP or with a status condition. Giving a Pokemon an item to hold except the Soothe Bell. This one blows my mind. I literally have been doing this even at the time of recording. Evolving a Pokemon except via Trade Evolution. Using a Pokemon in battle or winning a battle with a Pokemon. Increasing Affection. Affection is another stat that isn't introduced until a later generation. More on this later. In that graph, you saw there was an option for grooming. Well, Pokemon like to be pampered too, and Daisy is up to the task. Not only will she tell you how friendly your Pokemon is to you, she will offer to clean them up every 512 steps. She will tell you the friendship for the first Pokemon in your party as well. These are kinda cryptic, hinting at the number without telling you the number, but here we go. It couldn't possibly love you any more than it does now. Your Pokemon is happy beyond words, is your max at 255. It looks very happy. I wish your rival could see this and learn something from it. That's 200 to 254. It's quite friendly with you. Keep being good to it at 150 to 199. It's warming up to you. Trust must be growing between you is 100 to 149. It's not quite familiar with you yet. Pokemon are all quite wary when you first get them. That's 50 to 99. Player name? I don't like the way it glares at you. Could you try being a little nicer to it? Is 1 to 49. And the worst, it's not easy for me to say this, but is there some reason why your Pokemon would hate you so much? Is when it is at 0. All this talk of the friendship stat is finally to tell you how return and frustration work. As I stated earlier, frustration works better when the Pokemon likes you less. The exact number where frustration is stronger than return is when the Pokemon has a friendship of 127 or less. After that, return is the better move. The exact way to calculate frustration is using the formula power equal 255 minus friendship over 2.5. Examples would include power is equal to 255 minus 0 over 2.5, which comes out to 102. That is the max power of this move and return. Another example would be 255 minus 127 over 2.5, which comes out to be 51.2. That's the minimum damage you can get before return is stronger. The final one I wanted to show you is 255 minus 60 over 2.5, which comes out to 78. I picked that one as a random number just so you can see how wide the power fluctuations are. Return is very similar, with the formula being power is equal to friendship over 2.5. The maximum is still 102, but now that is at friendship 255 and not 0. Both of these moves were updated in Generation 3 to always provide a base stat of at least 1, something that was not true in Generation 2. These moves were also retired in Generation 8, which was Sword and Shield, and have not returned at the time of this recording. Okay, enough math, let's get back to the action. I feel like I'm running out of stuff to teach you. Let's talk about gym badges in Generation 3. So in Generations 1 through 3, the badges had an extra effect where they affected your stats. In Generations 1 and 2, this increase was 12.5%, but in Generation 3 it was lowered to 10%. It was removed in Generation 4 and hasn't returned at the time of recording. The increases are as follows. Attack was increased by the Boulder badge, Defense by the Soul badge, Special Attack and Special Defense by the Volcano badge, and Speed by the Thunder badge. The other 4 badges had a very different effect which allowed you to control traded Pokemon. If a Pokemon traded to you was above a certain level, it would not listen to you. The badges and levels are as follows. Cascade lets you have Pokemon up to level 30, Rainbow lets you get up to level 50, Marsh let you control Pokemon up to level 70, and with the Earth badge, you could control Pokemon at any level whether it was traded or not. The final effect of these badges has been the use of HMs outside of battle. This list is HM01 Cut was through the Cascade badge, HM02 Fly was under the Thunder badge, HM03 Surf was under the Soul badge, HM04 Strength was under the Rainbow badge, HM05 Flash was under the Boulder badge, HM06 Rock Smash was under the Marsh badge, and HM07 Waterfall was under the Volcano badge. Badges will have different effects in different games, but we will touch on those later. Right now, let's just move on.